All right, let's talk about the AI that seemingly came out of nowhere and completely changed the game. It can write your emails, it can debug your code, it can even pass the bar exam. We're talking, of course, about ChatGPT. So, what is this thing, really? And what's all the buzz actually about? Let's get into it.
I want to start with a number, 1 million. Now, what do you think this is? The cost? Lines of code? Nope. This is how many users ChatGPT got in its first 5 days. 5 days. I mean, to put that into perspective, it took companies like Netflix and Twitter years to hit that same milestone. This thing just exploded.
And that incredible speed is why people are calling it this, the fastest growing consumer application in human history. The scale is it's absolutely unprecedented. So that begs the question, right? What is this thing that grabbed everyone's attention so fast?
To answer that, we've got to pull back the curtain a little bit and just understand the basics of the technology itself.
Okay, so at its heart, ChatGPT is what we call generative AI. And this is a really key idea. For years, most AI was all about analyzing stuff that already existed. But generative AI, it's totally different. It actually creates brand new, original content completely from scratch. It's not just a search engine, it's a creation engine.
And the name itself, GPT, it kind of tells you the whole story. The G stands for generative, because, well, it generates text. The P is for pre-trained. This is huge. It means it was fed this colossal amount of information, books, articles, the internet, before any of us ever got our hands on it. And the T? That stands for transformer, which is the revolutionary AI architecture that lets it understand context and sound so incredibly human.
Okay, so that's the techie stuff, but what does it actually mean for you? Like, how can a regular person actually use this in their day-to-day life?
So let's walk through a super simple everyday example. Let's say you want to start a low-carb diet. You can just ask ChatGPT for some meal ideas and boom, it'll give them to you. But here's where the magic really happens. You can then ask a follow-up like, hey, can you make a shopping list for those meals? And it actually remembers the conversation and just generates a perfect list for you. It's not a one-off search, it's a dialogue.
And this right here, this illustrates the fundamental shift. I mean, the old way, right? You'd go to Google, you'd get a wall of links, ads, articles, and then you had to do all the work of piecing it together. The new way is just asking a question and getting a direct, synthesized answer. It's the difference between being handed a whole library versus being handed the exact paragraph you were looking for.
And believe me, it goes way, way beyond shopping lists. People are using this thing to write and fix computer code, to summarize really dense articles, to explain super complex topics in simple terms. And here's the part that just blows my mind. It is powerful enough to pass some of the hardest professional exams out there, like the bar exam for lawyers and the U.S. medical licensing exam. This is a seriously powerful tool.
So, how on earth does it do all that? How can it write code 1 minute and pass a medical exam the next? Well, to get that, we need to peek behind the curtain. And you might be surprised that the secret behind all this complexity is actually pretty simple.
And this, of course, leads to the question that's on everybody's mind when they see this thing in action. Is it actually thinking? Is it conscious? Is there a ghost in the machine? The answer, in no uncertain terms, is a hard no. It is not sentient. It has zero feelings, no consciousness, no understanding of the world. As one expert put it, if you're not asking it a question, there's nothing going on in there. Basically, no thoughts, head empty.
So here's the crucial point. ChatGPT at its very core is just a hyper-advanced autocomplete. That's it. Its entire job is to predict the most statistically likely next word in a sentence. So when you ask it, what is the capital of France, it doesn't know the answer is Paris. It has just processed so much text that it knows that the sequence of words capital of France is almost always followed by the word Paris.
And how did it get so good at this prediction game? Well, it was trained on an amount of text that is just almost impossible to imagine. We're talking over 500 gigabytes of data from the internet, from books, from Wikipedia, basically a giant slice of everything humans have ever written down and put online. It learned the patterns of our language on a scale no human ever could.
Hey, and don't just take my word for it. Even its creators at OpenAI are super clear about this. This is a direct quote from them. So despite its incredible talent for mimicking how we talk, it doesn't actually know anything. It's a pattern-matching machine, which, by the way, is why it sometimes just makes stuff up with total confidence, a little quirk the developers call hallucinating. It's just putting words together in a way that seems probable, even if the result is completely wrong.
Okay, so knowing what it is and what it isn't, what does this all mean for our future? Because this technology is both incredibly promising and, yeah, potentially pretty perilous.
The first thing you've got to grasp is just the sheer mind-bending speed of this revolution. The very first version of this tech was only announced back in 2018. Just 4 years later, ChatGPT drops, and within a couple of months, it has 100 million active users. The pace of this is absolutely blistering.
And the speed presents us with a real double-edged sword. On one hand, the potential is just immense, right? A personal assistant for everybody, a tool to revolutionize creativity and research. But on the other hand, the risks are just as real. It makes things up, it can be used for cheating, and it can be used to spread misinformation at a massive scale. And it's really important to remember, its knowledge has a cutoff date. Most versions don't know anything that happened after 2021 or 2022.
Now, just let this next idea sink in for a second. We are very, very quickly approaching a point where AI will generate more text than humans have written in our entire history. The majority of new information in the world will soon be created not by a person, but by a machine.
And that leaves us with this final and frankly crucial question. In a world where AI is the dominant author, where it can create text and images and code that look completely human, how will we know what's real anymore? That's the complicated future we're all just starting to navigate.